Hello, kings and queens. Welcome back to another day of math instruction. Today's lesson, we're going to be talking about how to find the volume of rectangular prisms. So by the end of this lesson, you should be able to look at a rectangular prism and be able to successfully solve for its volume. We're going to get started with our affirmation. Today, I will do my best to be my best. What I do today will make a difference in my life. My choices will affect me and those around me. I will listen, I will be honest, I'll respect the rights of others. I will learn something today because today matters and my future is built on one now at a time. So getting started, let's begin by familiarizing ourselves with what a rectangular, with what a triangular prism is. Last week we talked about rectangular prisms, so this is kind of like the next lesson after it. This is what we call a triangular prism. So you have two triangle bases that are essentially just kind of spread out from each other. Now, just like we did with rectangular prisms, we're going to have to identify a base and a height. Unlike rectangular prisms, there's only one possible base you can choose with triangular prisms. Okay, so we're looking at two faces, or we're looking for two faces that are congruent and parallel. The only two faces here that are congruent and parallel would be this face, or this side, and this face, or this side. So I would call these two sides or faces the base, or the bases. So I can label that B. The reason we couldn't use the other sides is they aren't parallel to each other. So this side over here, this rectangular side, is not parallel to this one or this one. They're all attached to each other, right? They're not parallel. So based off of the fact that we know this is the base, the height is going to be the distance between the two bases. So that would mean the distance between this base to this base, we would call height. So with our triangular prism models, we are going to have setups that look like this. Okay. Now, looking at the actual formulas, the formula for the volume of a triangular prism is as follows. The volume of the prism equals, it's the same as before, it's the same concept, but we're just going to have a little bit of a difference here. It's going to equal the area of the base times the height of the prism. But for the triangular prism, the base is a different shape. The base in this case is going to be a triangle, like we looked at before, remember? Base is a triangle. So to find the area of a triangle, we have to use a different formula. Now, tapping into our prior math knowledge, the area of a triangle is calculated by doing 1/2 times base times height. I would suggest you write these formulas down because they will be useful to have written down, as they will be popping up a lot throughout our lesson today and throughout the practice problems that you'll be receiving on Google Classroom. So let's look at some actual examples where we can put this into practice. We're going to follow the same model as we always do. We're going to do a problem together, and then you guys are going to do one on your own. So looking at this problem on the left, we're asked to find the volume of the triangular prism over here. Okay. First step in this process is going to be to determine a base and a height. There can only be one base and one height in this case. So looking at the problem, what face would we call my base? Yeah, this one right over here. Because it has a congruent and parallel face. So these are the bases. I'm going to label them B. And the height is going to be the distance between my bases. So in this case, it would be the distance between this side and this side, which is right here. So now we can start to actually plug and chug. We have a base, we have a height, which I'm going to label, and we have the numbers we can plug in. So let's start to jump into it. Let's start off by finding the area of my base. So the area of my base, or this triangle over here is calculated by using the formula base equals 1/2 lowercase b, or the base of the triangle, times the height. Okay. Knowing that information, let's actually try to look at what the lengths for the base are. What I really want us to be careful of, guys, is to distinguish between the lowercase and the uppercase here and the different h's. So what I'm asking for is just the area of this triangle, not the whole rectangular, or not the whole triangular prism. So it's important that we understand what lengths we're using here. 1/2 is going to stay the same. What is the base of this triangle over here? Or what is the bottom length? Yeah, 24. So when I multiply this by 24, and then what is the height, or how tall is this triangle over here? 7. Oopsies. 1 second, guys. My apologies, folks. Okay. So we would plug in 7 right over here. Now, if I multiply all that together, I have 1/2 times 24 times 7. If we multiply all that together, we should get 84. What I did to get that number is just 1/2 times 24, which is 12, and then multiply 12 by 7, which is 84. So I know the area of my base is 84. That's really helpful because now I can move on to the next step. To find the volume of the whole triangular prism, we're going to take the base, or the area of the base, and multiply it by the height. In this case, when I say height, I mean the distance between the bases. So what I knew from before, the area of my base was going to be 84. And the height, or the distance between the bases, is 22. If I multiply these two numbers together, I get a really large number, which is 1,848. And then I'm going to write meters cubed. It's my unit. Okay. So this would be my solution to this problem. Okay. I want you all to try, this is going to be the time when we press pause, and I want you to try to solve this problem on your own. As soon as you get done, it's set up almost identically. As soon as you get done, you can press resume play, where we can actually go over the mechanics of how to solve this, okay? So for those of us who are back with me, let's start by actually labeling all of my points, okay? The base, or I'm gonna need to find my base and my height, right? The base of this triangular prism is gonna be this triangle right here, right? I'm gonna shade it in just so we can get a really good view of it, okay? And the height of the triangular prism is going to be the distance between the bases, which is this over here, okay? Now that we have that, let's start to plug and chug. So let's find the area of my base. Let's also make sure we're distinguishing the area of the base from those of the figures with the rectangular prism. That being said, area of the base is going to be 1/2 of this triangle times the base of this triangle times the height of this triangle. If we plug in the numbers, I'm going to get 1/2 times, what is the base of this triangle? 6. And what is the height of this triangle? Not 5, but 4. Sometimes they might give you an extra number here just to throw you off. We're looking for the height of this triangle. That would be 4. Okay. Now we can start to plug and chug. 1/2 times 6 times 4 is going to equal to 12. Okay. So the area of the base is going to equal to 12. Now we can solve for the volume of this rectangular prism. The volume of, my apologies, of this triangular prism. The volume of the triangular prism is just going to be the area of its base times its height. Okay. In this case, we found the area of the base to be 12. And the distance between the two bases was 9. So if I did 12 times 9, I would get 108. And then I would include my units, feet cubed. And that would be my solution to the volume of this triangular prism.